Our guy Damon Amendolara is putting on the headset right now here on Radio Row. Damon, you're back on the Z89 airwaves.
This is awesome. You know, my freshman semester, which was, oh God, I shouldn't even date this, but it was fall 97, and I was like, I just want to be on the air, and I put in the application at WAER to be a writer there, but we weren't on air yet, you know, when you're a first semester freshman. So at Z, I could get on the air, and I was a music DJ just to get on the air. I wasn't even doing sports. So they said, well, what's your DJ name? And I was like, I don't have a DJ name. They said, well, you need one.
DJ DA.
So that would have been cool because that would work, but that was before I was DA.
Roosevelt Wright?
Well,
that's not a nickname. That's just a name.
No. But he would have been the one that would say that. But no, it was somebody at maybe the PD at Z. So I said, so we went with DJ Damon.
Oh.
DJ, which makes me sound very cool.
DJ Damon is with us here from Radio Row in New Orleans.
Thank you very much for introducing me correctly.
Yeah.
And so it's very Euro, but so that lasted for a semester, I think. And I said I was not cut out to be a music DJ, but DJ Damon, I'll never forget that.
What type of music did DJ Damon play?
All top 40 hits. It was 89 at the time. Might still be. I don't know.
Still is.
They were They gave me the hit list of top 40. You didn't get to pick what you were playing. So at the time it was, it was Biggie, it was Diddy, it was J-Lo, it was that kind of era of music. So it was good.
Well, Big Papa was taken, so you can call yourself that.
I was never mistaken to be a Big Papa. That was never going to be an identity crisis for me. So how you guys doing?
We're really good.
Is great.
I mean, we're running around like crazy. I was just at the Chiefs media availability at their team hotel, and that was awesome because opening night was great. I think we all had a really good time.
Good.
But I was talking about it with Andrew, and like the first 30, 45 minutes, you feel like you're a chicken with your head cut off.
Totally.
And this kind of setting, well, there's still a lot of people there, but it's a lot less hustle and bustle. It's a lot less overwhelming. You can have like legitimate back and forths with some of the players. That was really cool. But this has all been amazing.
It's such a great thing that you guys get to do. My first Radio Row was, 2000. I was still a senior at school, and I went down to Tampa. The Giants were playing the Ravens, and I thought I could kind of crash Radio Row to try to get a job. Didn't really work out very well. I don't even know if they let me in. But then my first one working was 03, I think it was, or 04. That was in Jacksonville. It was my first kind of taste of it. That was Patriots, Eagles. And I said, wow, this is cool. All these radio stations are broadcasting all these pros, all these people that I've heard from, I've watched. And I just kind of soaked it all in. And, I was 24 at the time, 25. So it's really cool that you guys get to do this in school. I think when they developed this idea a couple of years ago, I thought it's genius because, look, you get to see all this even before you enter the job force. And this is, I think, the pinnacle of, like, if you love football, which I love, this feels like you're in the middle of everything.
Yeah, it's just like a who's who.
Totally.
Even just like right after getting in here, our producer Caleb's like, look who's over there. And I don't have my contacts in, so I'm like, who is it? He's like, Malik Neighbors. I'm like, the only good thing about my team? So it's like, even if we don't have a chance to talk to him because he's one of the busiest guys here, who cares? It's just understanding how to kind of conduct yourself in this kind of environment is invaluable.
And you get to see how the sausage is made. You get to see how other shows that are in the business, they approach things and their setups and how you do this and how you develop relationships with PR people and how you bring a guest through and then get them ready for a next guest and have your prep work already done perhaps the day before. If you don't, how to on the fly interview somebody you didn't have any expectations to interview. It's great. It's great that you guys do this. I'm very, very excited for you.
Back in New Orleans, Super Bowls have been here, a number of times. 11th time here on Sunday.
Yeah.
What are your memories of Super Bowls down here in NOLA?
I have never covered a Super Bowl here in New Orleans, but I was doing this on the show the other day, that this is probably the site of the most iconic Super Bowl moments as a city. Maybe the most famous is Vinatieri's kick in 01 to be the greatest show on turf. That launches the Patriots dynasty. You have the Desmond Howard kickoff return for a touchdown, which gives Brett Favre his only Super Bowl championship in 96, January 97. You have the 85 Bears, perhaps the single greatest single-season team ever, and the Fridge scoring a touchdown. That's an iconic moment. You have the blackout game, which was 11 years ago, and the Horror Bowl, the fact that the lights went out in the middle of a Super Bowl and perhaps changed the entire momentum of the game. Like, not one city has all of those things. And then if you go even farther back, 77, the Cowboys win. In 80, the Raiders win. The Raiders are the first wild card team ever to win a Super Bowl. That happened here. So there's been a lot of cool stuff that has happened in New Orleans.
Yeah. I know you spent some time in Kansas City earlier in
Yes,
your
sir.
career. Do you have any bias in this game?
Well, I will admit I was pulling for the Bills. I wanted to see the Bills. I have friends. Actually, one of my roommates in Syracuse was a big Bills fan. Bills season ticket holder then. I went to a game with him back then. And then I've now gone up there 2 out of the last 3 years to go see a game up in Buffalo. And I love stories of fan bases that have been tortured forever and finally have that moment. And we've seen a bunch of them in sports over the last decade or so, I don't even have to go through them all, but even teams like the St. Louis Blues who had never won, the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron in 2016. You have all these teams that had never won anything and then suddenly have done it. I mean, your Kansas City Royals in 2015 had gone 30 years or so. And the Chiefs were that team in 2019. They had not won in 50 years. When I was working in Kansas City, they couldn't win a playoff game, let alone Super Bowls. So the idea that now they're like a dynasty is crazy. So I was pulling for the Bills because I wanted to see them get a little taste. But once the Chiefs won, I said, all my friends and family that are still in Kansas City, that I want to see them make history here. I really want to see them do it. I want to see the three-peat happen. So once the Bills were out, I began pulling for the Chiefs again.
I was in Buffalo when the AFC Championship happened. A couple of us drove up to cover kind of the reaction and the fan reaction, and it was pretty tough to watch all of those fans go through it again because it just keeps happening.
And it happens in the most torturous way possible. It constantly is the most torturous way possible. They're not getting blown out of these games. They're losing on, dramatic 4th and 5s.
Yep. And they've taken their anger not only from Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, but also now to Taylor Swift.
That's right, yeah.
She takes a couple of hits for the team.
Yeah,
yep.
No doubt.
I know, I don't know if you guys were in the same class, but you and Adam Shine were in school at the same time.
Yeah, he was 2 years older than I was.
And we had him just pop by for an interview a couple days ago. I know he didn't grow up a Bills fan, but now he's become this huge Bills backer.
Yeah.
I think he's still somewhat in denial that they actually lost. He's like, he came on and he said, well, I still think I'm right. I said it was Bills-Eagles, and it should be Bills-Eagles. But did he have this kind of love for them back then, too? Or is this just kind of over the last few years, as I know Nick Wright's a big Chiefs guy, and he's now this big Bills guy. Did you ever see this coming from his Bills fandom?
No, I don't remember Adam being a huge Bills fan back in the day. No, I do not remember that. But I do think that when you're up there, remember he was working in Syracuse at professionally, his first job out of college. So I think there you're around a lot of Bills fans. You're talking a lot of Bills football at the time. So maybe you got a little nugget of that loyalty and fandom there. But no, during our days in college, I do not remember him jumping through any tables in Zubaz.
I know you didn't get to cover the championships back in KC, but is there any stories that stick out to you that you really enjoyed covering?
You might remember a player named Dante Hall. He was a kickoff returner, a punt returner extraordinaire for the Chiefs. I got there in 2003, and that was kind of his apex. It was a season where the Chiefs went 13-3. They were the 2 seed in the AFC. They ultimately lost in the playoffs to Peyton Manning and the Colts in the no-punt game. And Dante Hall had 6 kickoff returns or punt returns for touchdowns that year. I was the host of his players show that season. So once a week, we would go out to sports bars across Kansas City and do a 1-hour show with him. Now, this is, again, in the middle of the throes of them not winning anything. These people were so supportive, so excited, so loyal. They would line up an hour before the doors opened to get their seats for the Dante Hall show. And that was my first indoctrination into this is what football fandom can really, really be. This is the only thing happening in town in a lot of ways because the Royals stunk. And this is the guy that's here to ride in to save a city and deliver them a championship, So every week to just be around these people that were so intense and so loyal, I thought was so cool. And Dante and I are still close friends because of it. Now, this is 20 years ago now, but anytime I text him, anytime I call him, hey, come on the show, let's talk. Anytime I see him at an event or whatever, it's like old home week. So that was a really special moment in my career, and it all ended on a game where Peyton Manning never punted.
I feel like the NFL is missing a superstar return man these days. Gone are the days of Cribbs and Hester and Hall and, I guess what, Turpin and Dallas? But, those guys used to be, stars. Every time they touched the ball, you had to see it.
Yeah, well, they changed the kickoff rules so that now it's data safety. It's really hard to return a kick for a touchdown. But when you could, and it was a little bit more frequent, those guys were weapons. Devin Hester's 06 season is outrageous. And the fact that he finished it with opening up the Super Bowl with a kickoff return for a touchdown is outrageous. We were all waiting for the moment that he catches a football, on a kick return and seemed he could take it to the house, and he did it. It's so hard to do, and he did it. And of course, the Bears didn't win that Super Bowl, but yeah, it's just the days of the dynamic return man are gone, I think, because of the rule changes.
Yeah.
And nobody these days, you're waiting to see when they catch the ball, oh, this guy's might be gone. Nobody you're like, okay, I want to watch this guy return a kickoff. But he did have that feel, and he still pulled through, which is remarkable in the biggest moments.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what's the predictions here from you guys on this game?
I would not bet against Kansas City. I know it's not a crazy hot take, but
doesn't have to be crazy hot. You just got to be accurate. Chiefs.
So I'd say Chiefs, and I think people are expecting another shootout. But Vic Fangio against Steve Spagnuolo, I think it would be awesome if this game just became kind of a slugfest.
Okay.
So
Chiefs 24-21.
Why not?
Okay. What you got, Riley?
DJ Damone, you know who I'm picking. You know who I'm picking. I'm picking the hometown team. You gotta go with the Chiefs.
In a blowout, you got them 55-3.
Yeah, I'd like to see that, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm going Chiefs. We'll go 34-24.
Okay, 10-point win.
And I have also picked the Chiefs to win 31-24.
Okay, I'm leaning Chiefs as well.
Yeah.
But I will say on Monday night, I went to the opening night like you guys did.
Yep.
But for NFL Radio on Sirius XM, they had us in the bowels of the Superdome doing these one-on-one interviews with individual players before they went out to the main stage with you guys. So I got to see them in a bit of an intimate moment, and I was next to Patrick Peterson, who's an all-decade cornerback, just retired, and all these guys love him to death, and so we were doing these interviews together. And as business-like as the Chiefs are, the Eagles have a resentment over not winning it 2 years ago. They feel like they were kind of robbed. In fact, they were like, to a man, they thought that they were the better team that day 2 years ago. And I think, now they got a lot of young guys that didn't play in that game, but the guys that did play in that game feel like they have to redeem themselves. So I think that desperation makes this a really interesting game. And if they play their guts out because they really feel like they are the better team, I think you can see the Eagles win this football game. You just have to make sure you channel that emotion well, because the Eagles can be a little up and down. They can be volatile. The A.J. Brown thing is so weird. The A.J. Brown, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts thing is so weird. But I think that there's an element of this where the Eagles thought that they were kind of robbed of their deserving championship 2 years ago, and this is going to be their moment for validation. And it made me think after that, maybe I'd pick the Eagles here.
My favorite part of that game, and we'll see if you continue to feel that way as the week goes on.
Yeah,
is Jalen Hurts has caught a lot of strays. Inability. People questioning. Is he a good enough passer to really hang with the elite quarterbacks from time to time? In that game, could he have? I thought he was fantastic.
He was great.
It was, and I understand, he had the weapons. They gave him the supporting cast that he needed, but it never always clicked. But on the biggest stage, it's almost like you saw the best version of him.
Yeah.
So I hope that happens again, because I know the Chiefs can win, like you kind of said, they don't need to score 30 points anymore to win these games.
Yeah.
But that game was just, it's very rare. I think we were just talking about it a second ago, that the moment actually meets the hype. In that game, that just felt like a Super Bowl. Like, it didn't just feel like it had Super Bowl plastered on it.
Yeah.
It's like his play in that game, and obviously Mahomes' it made it feel exactly what it should have been.
Yeah, they both rose to the occasion. It's not going to be that easy to score points this time around. Fangio's defense is fantastic. And Jalen Carter in the middle and those young corners and safeties, it's hard to move the football on the Eagles. They get after you on every level. And so the Chiefs just won't be able, I think, to create the big plays that they did to win that game 2 years ago. But the Chiefs' defense is their strength now. So it could be a low-scoring game. And that will be so interesting because we're going to think about all the offensive weapons on both sides of the two quarterbacks. But it would not be shocking, honestly, if this is a game played in the low 20s. And, if that's the case, maybe that's advantage Eagles because they have Saquon and they can really control the ball with running the football. But it's fascinating because, like you said, the quarterbacks are such stars and there's such star power, and yet the defenses are really the engine that cooks both teams.
Totally.
I know you got your radio show and your shows that you're doing. Tell me what's this week look for you?
Well, we do the morning show on Sirius XM's Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82, every morning, 6 until 9 Eastern Time. So we're on here 5 to 8 Central every morning. Then Monday and Tuesday I was doing some work for the NFL radio channel, and so I did a couple of shows Monday and Tuesday. And Monday night was all those cool interviews over at the Superdome. Tonight I got a bit of a free night. Tomorrow is NFL Honors. So I'm heading over to NFL Honors tomorrow. That should be pretty cool and see all the awards that are handed out. And then Friday is kind of a chill day. And then Sunday I'm here and doing some pregame stuff for a couple of the fan events on Sunday, so I'm excited about that. So it's just cool, and then you just catch up with so many people that you've known in the industry. I mean, I graduated in 2001, so we're going on 24 years of some type of business relationships or professional relationships with people that might be here, program directors or hosts or producers or PR people. So you just end up through all these walks of life finding all these people that you've connected with in the past and having some conversations with them and catching up and stuff like that. So that's really the joy of this. And then also, honestly, is going station to station and looking at what they're doing. And I like to pick up tips of what's going on. I like to see what other people are doing. I like to hear as much as I can how people are executing things because I always feel like there's a lot of smart people doing our job and there's always a way to pick up a tip or a trick or something. So I just try to soak it all in. And honestly, this is the day I feel most like a kid these days because I grew up as a Super Bowl junkie, watching all the NFL films every year of the Super Bowls and watching the Super Bowls and studying the Super Bowls in the NFL. So when you're around it and you look at banners, here in the convention center, and you see big plaques and you think about the history, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I get to cover this. It's pretty amazing.
I'm sure you've already, sorry, Andrew. I'm
No,
sure
go
you've
ahead.
already been asked this before, but what's the favorite then? If the Super Bowl is your jam,
Yeah.
do you have a favorite?
A favorite game or a favorite one that I covered?
A favorite game. Just the one that you felt it sticks with you the best, or when you think of the Super Bowl, you think of how that one played out.
Okay, so the first Super Bowl I watched was Super Bowl 21, Giants and Broncos, and I was 7 years old, and my dad said he's a huge Giants fan. I may never see this again in my life. This is the first Super Bowl they've ever played in. I need you to videotape it on the VCR. This is a little before your time, before DVR, before streaming. But back in the day, you had to put a little cassette into the VCR and press record, or else that thing is gone forever. That show, that game never exists after that.
Yeah.
So I had to record it for my dad, and I just became mesmerized, going, oh, my God, this is so cool. The Super Bowl's so cool. And that's Phil Simms' Great Day, and that's the Gatorade shower and Bill Parcells. So that one is inside of me deeply. But my favorite Super Bowl action-wise, Steelers-Cardinals, 2008 season. February 2009, and that's like Roethlisberger, Kurt Warner, Larry Fitzgerald, the James Harrison pick six. That's the Santonio Holmes catches on the final drive of the touchdown. That game is so insane. That game, if you go back and watch, it has like 6 iconic Super Bowl plays in it. I think that's, just from an action standpoint, my favorite Super Bowl top to bottom.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that James Harrison play might be the greatest individual effort, not only in Super Bowl history, in football history.
Does he have another pick six in his career? That's probably the only one he has, and it happens not on 20 yards or 14 yards. It's a 99-yarder, and it completely changes the game because the Cardinals are going into the end zone of the final play of before halftime. He brings it back the other way. That's a 14-point swing on a defensive lineman that runs 99 yards and breaks every tackle. And the half expires as he's in play. So if he does not get to the end zone, that play does not count. That play is nothing. Right. He has to get to the end zone. And then the Steelers win the game by 3 points or something like that. I mean, Santonio catches that pass, and I forget what the final score is, 38-35 or something. Like that game. And then Larry Fitzgerald's fourth quarter touchdown is so crazy, too, because he's on this run in that postseason where nobody could cover him. It is such a phenomenal game, top to bottom.
Yeah. So we're here with Damon Amendolara on Z89, Super Bowl 59, getting ready for it. I have to ask, I've seen on your Twitter, there was a table with some crawfish remains last night that was gone through.
That's right.
Can we get a backstory to that one?
Well, if you followed any of my stuff at Syracuse or throughout my career, I have always been about the sports, but with a twist of absurdity as well. I enjoy the absurdity. And we made a bet on the show of who's going to win the AFC East, and I took the Bills, and my cohorts on the show took the Jets. And I said, you silly Jets fans, they won't win this division. They never win the division. You guys are dead. And sure enough, they were. And so we made the bet, okay, as a Bills winner, you're going to jump through a folding table, and we're going to do it when we go to the Super Bowl. And then the bar that we set up to do it at, Boondock Saint, down near Bourbon Street, said, you know what, let's really make it New Orleans, guys. Let's put some crawfish down at this table. So those guys, before I got there, because I was doing the media interviews on Monday night, ate crawfish. It was the crawfish shells that we put down on the table. We had a ladder they climbed up on in the middle of the street and dove into that table and had to sit in crawfish remains and disgusting juice. Talk about paying off a bet. That's what betting on the Jets will do to you. Humiliate you for life.
Good pick on the Bills, Damon.
Yeah, thank you.
Andrew.
And you're not gonna go through the full crawfish. You got to eat it, obviously, before you go through it. You can't waste the crawfish.
That's a good point.
Well, you would think, I'm about to show you, I want to get your live reaction to something because now we're on the topic of crawfish.
Oh, okay.
And Andrew, you would think he lost a bet in this photo. Your thoughts on this?
Wow, dressed as a crawfish, an inflatable crawfish outfit. I am impressed.
Yes.
You look good. You look good as a crawfish.
Did you ever slide down Krause Hill when you were at Syracuse?
I never did, but
you ever seen a crawfish sled?
Nicely done. Wow. You picked up some speed early, but then you spilled out midway
Wait, hold
through.
on. Yeah. And then at the very end, he's alive.
That's a dead crawfish right there.
That's
like we jumped through.
That is a dead crawfish. Just got a promo New Orleans right there.
I got to run right now because we're taping an interview.
Of
but
course.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Thank you, David.
Really
my pleasure. You guys
awesome.
are the best. Keep on doing what you're doing. This is awesome. Let me know if you ever need anything, okay?
Of course.
Thank you.
All right.
Stay in touch.
See you, boys.
Have
okay.
fun.
See you, David.
All right. Later.
Great to have Damon Amendolara with us here from New Orleans, Syracuse alum, Sirius XM Radio on Z89 as we get you ready for Super Bowl 59.